Chapter 3. Meeting the woman who gave birth to me. It is Christmas time of '06. In truth, a time of year I hardly remember, except for one particular day, Christmas Eve. The Christmas presents had all been wrapped. The day started like any other. That was until my dad sat me down at the kitchen table. "I'm just about to drop the presents you bought, to your mother's." I knew straight away who he was referring to. He wasn't talking about my mother. Not the mother I saw every day, the mother who taught me right from wrong, but the woman who essentially created me. See, to me, bearing in mind the age I was, a mother isn't necessarily a woman who gave birth to you, but someone who gave you love and consistency. A woman who gave birth to you was an entirely different entity. So in my circumstance, a mother and your creator are far from mutually exclusive. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Back to my story. After my dad made the proposition of meeting my birth mother, the truth is I was consumed by my own curiosity. I wanted to know what my creator was like. So after a few moments' pause, I accepted the unusual offer. Sorry, I got a message. It is only fair to mention that my dad reassured me that he would be with me at all times. While I was with my mother, I remember sitting in my car heading to meet my mum for the first time. In nearly 12 years, my overactive imagination was in full mode yet again. I couldn't help but detect similarities with a certain Star Trek film, The Final Frontier. You know, the wacky one where even Star Trek fans don't like. The one where Spock's brother brainwashes the entire ship and gets Kirk and McCoy to meet an alien who leads them to believe that he was God. I apologise for anyone reading this that doesn't happen to be a Star Trek fan, by the way. But the point is, they thought they was meeting their maker, and so did I. I had no idea where she lived, but my dad seemed to, looking back. I think he had an address she left me when she would frequently write me letters. As we were going through the motorway, I recognised the buildings as soon as my dad turned to the next junction. It was then I realised she lived in Accrington. We approach her house. It is an average 2-bedroom terrace on a very average street called Belfield Road. We knock on the door and a very worried face appears through the doorway. She gazes into my eyes, and I think at that moment on, she realised who I was. She let us in the house, and as I sat down, she gave me a hug and seemed to be overwhelmed with joy. "Hello, Anthony, Merry Christmas." She talked in what I perceived at first to be a very condescending tone, but I realised she was talking to everybody in that tone. So I assumed it was just the way she was. I don't remember much of what we talked about, but what I do remember was at one point of the visit, I noticed a substantial amount of pictures of the actor Macaulay Culkin. I inquired and asked if she was a fan, but she gave me an answer I wasn't expecting. "Yes, see Anthony, I love you, you're my son, but I love my Macaulay Culkin more. See, he speaks to me, he's my guardian angel." Even my dad, who had always quite a good knack, a talent if you like, at keeping his cards close, even he had a bizarre expression on his face. When he heard her statement, she also confessed to have found the Lord, as she pointed out a big wooden cross just above her mirror on her living room wall. I sat there wondering to myself, could this be the creator, the person who gave me life? But she's nothing like me, I surmised. After the awkwardness eventually dissipated, numerous conversations arose, but towards the end, as she lit something up in front of me and my dad that was quite obviously a joint. "Oh, don't mind silly me, Anthony. I'm just having a funny fag," she giggled as soon as she finished speaking. I knew my dad wasn't impressed. Then, understandably, we began to leave. I remember getting home that night and my mum asking how it went. To tell you the truth, I don't really remember my answer. But I knew it would be a case of when I would see her again, if ever, would not be for a very long time. I remember feeling slightly underwhelmed. I knew even then that my mum's violent behaviour towards me was the reason I was in care, but for some reason I expected more. By the time Christmas ended, I was looking forward to seeing my friends again. I got a computer for Christmas and 2 Oasis CDs, which I kept playing on a loop for nearly 6 months. Seriously, I had a very strong phase of 90s alternative, anything from The Cure to Echo and the Bunnymen. I loved the Stone Roses. I remember thinking to myself that was an appreciated discovery. But no matter how diverse my music taste became, my old friend Freddie Mercury would always be waiting for me at the end of every school day, and no matter what mood I came home to, he always had a song that was quite appropriate for it. Chapter 4, Energy Drinks and a Cliffhanger. I hope you enjoyed this chapter, and as always, Dancing Bear out.